You tell me one athlete right now that's been dominating the game for 16 years straight without a loss.
How do you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of Box Talk. It's time. Mayweather Pacquiao, final thoughts, how it's gonna fall, how it's gonna go together. I've seen a lot of conflicting reports this week of everyone switching sides.
Really?
Yeah, people are not sure. They thought it was a tough fight. Then they said, no, maybe it's going to be easy. No, they're not too sure. Ade, what do you think?
Always got to be first thought.
Okay.
Always got to be first thought. As soon as a fight's mentioned,
Yeah.
I think you've always just got to go with that. Because TV, social media, Twitter, YouTube, anything can trick your ass.
Before the 24/7s and the...
Before all access and all the showing all this stylistic, Teddy Atlas doing his, Roy Jones doing his. When the fight was first mentioned, I said I think Floyd Mayweather wins it easy. Yes, I've maybe moved a couple of rounds closer, but I still think Floyd Mayweather, being as good as he is, and it's even just, I think watching the All Access shows have just almost toughened that up for me. I feel like I'm watching a guy that is just so dedicated to his craft. I'm not seeing anything like this dedication.
Yeah.
Bernard Hopkins maybe, but that's, I think as Bernard Hopkins got older, he's almost had to stay relevant, if that makes sense. Floyd Mayweather's dedication to his craft is frightening. Yeah. And I just feel like, as good as Pacquiao is, and he's a very good fighter, the worst nightmare for Pacquiao is a defensive counter-puncher. Yeah. It's the worst nightmare, I think.
I tell you, the thing about Mayweather, which is the most impressive thing about Mayweather when you watch him train, is that every punch looks so beautiful. It looks so smooth, so relaxed, it looks effortless, all the moves. I mean, he makes boxing look easy.
I agree.
Yeah?
I agree.
This is not fighting in the ring, boxing I'm talking about. It makes it look easy. It makes it look like it's just a walk in the park.
Yeah, you could ask 99.9% of people show you a jab, and it would all be wrong. Technically, be wrong. Mayweather showed the jab. It's just like
it's just flawless.
Yeah, watch this
try. When you look at Pacquiao train, what I see Pacquiao, I see intensity and I want to say more desire. I can see fire in Pacquiao. Yeah, but he doesn't have that crisp focus, that crisp technical ability as Mayweather. Pacquiao's strength in this fight is if you could get back that unpredictability and that aggression, that killer instinct. I mean, if you look at when Floyd's been hurt, majority of times,
very rare. How many times has he been hurt?
Majority of times, it's been early, or he's been shot early. If Pacquiao gets back that type of killer instinct where he dropped Miguel Cotto in, was it the third or the fourth? When he dropped Pacquiao, when he dropped Hatton in the second, he dropped Pacquiao, dropped Mosley as well. Mosley was kind of it, but the Pacquiao's up for Cotto, Hatton, Margarito for me was the best version of the 147, 140, 147.
Yeah, about to say 143.
The catch with Pacquiao. That was the best version of it.
Shane Mosley's one of the biggest, if not the biggest 147 puncher could ever be, probably, guys. This guy can hit. Yeah, he can hit. Yeah. And that shot that landed on Mayweather, how that, in my head still, I'm looking at it, how that did not knock him out. Yeah. Even doesn't land one, he landed two. Yeah. How either one of those didn't put him down, I will never know. Yeah. I will never know. I don't think Pacquiao has that kind of thing in his hand anymore. The Pacquiao against Hatton, Cotto, Margarito, yes. Time moves on. That was 5 years ago. Not to put a dampener on things, guys, because I'm not one to put a dampener, because I am going to watch this fight. We're probably watching guys that are probably 5 or 6 years past their prime, by the way. Yeah. As much as I don't want to, as much as I don't want to kill the vibe here. And to me, it's a case of who's deteriorated the most, who is gone backwards the most in this fight. And what I mean by deteriorated, I don't mean in terms of physical punishment, because none of them have really taken, apart from Pacquiao even getting knocked down, none of them taken serious beatings. I mean, especially Mayweather's hardly been landed. And I just watch their last few fights, and I watch Brandon Rios, and I watch Algieri. I even watched the Bradley fight and the Marquez fight, and I'm not sure about Pacquiao as being that monster that everyone wants to see anymore. We all want to see that aggression. Look, every time we see videos, everyone's videos are like, if we can see a bit of the Pacquiao from the Cotto, we can. That guy's gone. That's not the same Pacquiao anymore.
I'll give you the flip side to that coin. Everyone looks at Mayweather and say, oh, he looks so great against Canelo. It shows he's still got it. No disrespect to Canelo. Canelo has not fought a Hall of Fame list like Pacquiao. He didn't have the experience. Canelo is still relatively a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, he's got 40 plus fights, 50 plus, 40, 50 fights, you know what I'm trying to say? He's got all these fights, but he hasn't fought the type of the caliber as the Barreras, the Marquez, the Moraleses, you know what I mean? The Hattons, the Osleys, the Bradleys. That you've got, he's got that experience that Pacquiao has.
Agreed.
So Mayweather, to me, Mayweather beat the living hell out of Canelo, but he beat a guy that I think was big, strong, youthful, but didn't have it fully here or the experience to handle someone like Mayweather.
Guerrero did.
Huh?
Guerrero did.
Yeah, again, Guerrero's a good fighter, but not like Pacquiao. Pacquiao's, like we said before, Pacquiao's hit list is a Hall of Fame list.
Something about Pacquiao where you're right, but it's weird. When I watch him in the ring, I don't feel like I'm watching a guy that has experience at fighting. This is gonna sound a bit silly what I'm saying, guys. So bear with me. I don't think I'm watching a guy that I feel like thinks in the ring and uses all that experience. I don't think I'm watching an 8-weight world champion in action, but I just watch a guy that you literally wind up and say go. That's what it seems like to me when I'm watching. I don't think we're watching a guy that takes on that experience. I've seen him throw punches at Marquez and miss every single one of them and go wild against Bradley. And I just feel like, am I watching an experienced fighter, or I'm still watching someone that wants to try and entertain the crowd? Because you always seem to have this thing where I want to give the fans a good fight, almost like the GGG kind of symptom. And I feel like that could play into Mayweather's hands. If he tries to be even the slightest bit reckless, good night. And I don't mean good night being knockout, I just mean good night in terms of being head being boxed off.
Pacquiao has always wanted this fight. That's a different motivation.
You think he's wanted it for financial reasons though?
When he was knocking out Ricky Hatton and
he was a multi-millionaire.
Yes, times have changed. This is a Congress in Philippines and just whatever, but it's not basically financial. This is someone that's wanted to fight this fight from the beginning of time. It seems like to me the only reason this fight didn't happen was because of Bob Arum. So Mayweather's camp has a little pull in that as well, but ultimately it was Bob Arum. And
refused to take blood tests.
But you get my point. Let me tell you about this blood test thing quickly. Yeah, fighters have routines where they go through, and if something spoils their routine, they're scared from that routine again. I'll give you a good example. We were talking about Amir Khan the other day. Amir Khan don't fight in September because of Ramadan.
That's different.
The last time he fought in September, what happened to him?
It's different. No.
He got nothing out of Brady Prescott.
That's different.
The last time maybe Pacquiao took some random type drug test in, he lost to Morales. So I'm not saying I'm not saying he weren't taking or he was taking. I'm not saying excuses. You know what I'm saying? The people say the PED room is 100%. The point I'm making is is that as a fighter and you have a routine, if someone exposes your routine and you got a pinpoint, you don't use it. What I mean, fighters have routines, and even if it's right or wrong, they feel those routines affect their performances. So that's what I'm trying to say. That I'm not saying Pacquiao did or didn't use it. I'm saying that he's had a reason why he didn't want to do it at that particular time due to a routine. You think that's what it was? You think it was due to a routine? You didn't want to take a blood test, a $50 million blood test. All right then, let's call it. I've already said Mayweather wins. I'm going for Mayweather still. Yeah, Mayweather wins. Mayweather by split/majority decision. Anyhow, the fight is close. It'll be a rematch. You think the fight is going to be that? You think it's going to be a split decision? It could be a split. I think it's really close. I think Mayweather based on Pacquiao Mayweather or based on historically their last 5 fights. No, I'm based on styles of the fighters. Okay. Mayweather is a slow starter. Yeah, he's a defensive specialist. He's not gonna engage. Didn't start slow against Canelo. Yeah. Didn't start slow against Canelo. But he's notorious not the fastest starter in the world. Yes. Yeah. Pacquiao is a very fast starter. Pacquiao comes out all guns blazing. Besides a little feeling out session in the first round, Pacquiao was still the first round. I think Pacquiao will mostly take three of the first 4 rounds, most probably. If Mayweather gets into his stride, maybe we'll start taking over the fight, round 5, round 6, going up, go for broke, Pacquiao wins the 12th round, and you'll get a decision of something around 116, 112, or 115, 116, 112, or 150, 113, which is 7 rounds to 5 or 8 rounds to 4. But with judges in Mayweather, they'll mostly give Pacquiao one of the close rounds where he tried or he landed a harder shot than Mayweather. Because sometimes judges in America count that one shot. That was the harder shot. That was the better shot, so they give it to Pacquiao, and that's why it'll be a close decision. Styles. I get what Ryan does. Ryan goes on styles, and good. You've got to go on styles, make fights. But I go on past performances, and I've watched Pacquiao's past performances, and I haven't been overly impressed. To be honest, I'll be honest with you, I've not been overly impressed. I watched the Brandon Rios fight. I thought anyone could have. I thought I could have beat Brandon Rios that night. Not to be overcritical, but I can't see how people cannot be impressed with an eight-time multiple weight champion of Pacquiao's caliber. He deserves respect in and regardless,
I'm not impressed by Pacquiao.
I'm saying about the performances he had.
Brandon was awful performance. Was that a good performance?
No, it wasn't a great performance. I'm saying though, you got to understand that where this guy's coming from, what he's done, and what he's achieved. And yes, you do have off performances and bad fights, yeah. But putting together what the person brings to the table is two different things than a bad fight.
What do you mean?
You can have a bad fight, but you still bring up. Okay, you can have a bad fight, but Pacquiao's tool bag is full.
Yeah, of past. You're talking about past accolades.
Nah, I don't think so.
Of course you are. You must be talking about past accolades. You, as well as everyone else, has talked about Cotto, Hatton, Mosley. You've not once in this video mentioned Algieri, Brandon Rios, Bradley. Because the reason you've not mentioned those fights.
I'm looking at their best performances.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So you're talking about past accolades. That's why I said past accolades.
But again, when we talk about Mayweather's best performances, we don't mention bloody Madonna, his last 2 fights.
Yeah, but no one's ever said, let's bring up Hatton or Cotto.
But we mentioned Corrales for Mayweather.
When?
In the video before, we mentioned in the previous video, the very first video we've done, we mentioned the Hatton's fights.
Everyone.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Everyone that Mayweather has beat recently, I think, will cause Pacquiao problems. Every single one of them. Guerrero, I think, will cause him some problems.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Guerrero will cause him problems.
So, well, if he cannot put away Algieri, if he cannot stop Algieri, I think everyone calls. All right. Before we end, where are you on this? The biggest fight of all time, the biggest fight ever, biggest fight of the century. 21st century, definitely since 2000. I can't think of a fight since 2000.
I'm not too sure about that.
Since 2000,
Lewis Tyson was a very big fight. That was the last mega fight we had, and the world stopped for that fight as well. That fight was that was a serious.
I think that was based on Tyson more than Lewis. Lewis never got that kind of. Do you know what I mean? Lewis never really got that big respect that he should have.
Similar to this fight, it's about bragging rights. This fight obviously generates more money and does all the other bits and all ticks all the boxes, but it's about bragging rights. With Lewis Tyson, you had two top heavyweights in the world at the time.
No. Tyson wasn't top 2.
Okay, so at that same time you had
Vitali was about.
Vitali makes a good second or third.
Yeah.
But the guys around him were Chris Bird,
yeah,
John Ruiz, Jamil McCline.
You know, were they both two genuine superstars? Lewis was not a superstar. No way.
No. Yes. Lewis has a distinction what most heavyweights don't get. Of if he was a superstar, he was recognised as the best heavyweight in the world, hands down. So the point I'm making is that it had value and significance. It had
nowhere near this. Nowhere near this.
I think it's comparative in terms of what it brings to the table. It's comparative. You've got the boxer versus the puncher. You've got bragging rights, you've got the history, you've got the years of negotiation are never going to happen. And I'm trying to say, you had Tyson biting Lewis's leg and the fight was called off and it wasn't going to be happened. You had this fight cancelled because of the PEDs. That's what I'm trying to say. You've got to look at everything. It's very, very similar. No. But in terms of historical significance, I reckon this fight is mostly top 15. I wouldn't give it top of all time, best fight of all time. I wouldn't give it mostly top 10. Yeah, seriously. Look at.
Okay. If it was 5 years ago, would it have been top 10?
Possibly.
Possibly. Just possibly.
Possibly. You listen.
At the time, it would have been top 10 easily. Guys, you got to look at. You got to look at the weights these guys have gone through.
Yeah.
And not just the weights these guys have gone through. You've got to look at who they've beaten. Okay. And you're telling me 5 years ago, this only would have been possibly top 10.
I'm not going to start listing off names yet, but I'm saying if you're looking at the significant in the modern era of boxing, the modern era of boxing, you're talking about, like I said, Super Fight 1.
Yeah.
Ali Fraser.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah? No, that's number one.
Rumble in the Jungle, you're talking about. You're talking about Freddie Menina. You're talking about Leonard Hagler. Yeah. You're talking about, even before that, you're talking about Sugar Ray Robinson and Jack Dempsey. Yeah. You're talking about some great fights. I'm saying there's some great fights. So I'm not saying this fight's not a great fight, but when you're talking about the modern era, say the past 80, 90 years, you've got some significant fight. Max Smelling and Joe Louis. I mean, there's some fights there that really I'm not saying this fight's not great. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve recognition. I'm just saying, look at it overall, top 10's a big.
Do you think the fact that, if you like, there was no social media around for Tyson Lewis, there was no YouTube, by the way.
This is what I mean.
There was no Twitter, there was no Instagram. So I think Facebook had just been started.
So this proves my point, yeah? Those fights were great without it. Imagine if those fights I mentioned had what we had today.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. You understand?
Let's wrap this up. We said we're going to do 2 minutes. It's been another 12. Sorry, guys. You know what me and Ryan like. Once we get talking, we get talking. And this fight, see what emotion this fight has caused. This fight is doing to people. Police be on alert. There could be brutal beatings up outside. But like, guys, this is Mayweather Pacquiao. This is it, right? This is the fight we've been waiting for. Every fight has that fight of their generation. As Ryan said, Lewis Tyson was of that generation. Hearns Hagler. We've had them all. Fraser Ali, Ali Foreman. This is now within that kind of, that mix of that fight we never thought could happen. Like me and Ryan's done so many videos of this fight ain't gonna happen, this fight ain't gonna happen, they're gonna go this way, that way. It's now happening. We are 3 days away from one of the biggest fights of all time. Financially, the biggest fight of all time. It's gonna break every record you can think of, and I can't wait to watch it. Who are you going for? Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. We're going Floyd. Might change on the night, but we're going Floyd for now. Tune in, Sky Box Office, watch this one.